The summer sun beat down mercilessly on Maple Grove Estates, turning the neighborhood into a shimmering heat island. Emma Rodriguez stood on her meticulously maintained front lawn, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the phone, trying to process the conversation that had just occurred. Beside her, her 14-year-old twins, Miguel and Sofia, exchanged worried glances, their usual summer excitement replaced by a thick tension that seemed to hang in the air like humidity. It had started innocently enough. The Rodriguez family had spent months saving and planning for the above-ground pool that now gleamed in their backyard, a hard-earned reward after years of careful budgeting. Emma worked double shifts as a pediatric nurse, while her husband Carlos put in overtime as a construction supervisor. Every extra dollar had gone into creating a summer sanctuary for their children, a place where Miguel and Sofia could escape the oppressive heat and enjoy their adolescence. But Karen Thompson, the self-appointed neighborhood watchdog, had other plans. The phone call had been a barrage of accusations, each word more venomous than the last. Karen claimed the pool was suspiciously new and insinuated that the twins must have acquired it through less than legitimate means. "I've been watching," she had said, her voice dripping with a mixture of righteousness and barely concealed malice. "Those kids didn't buy that pool. Someone around here is going to hear about this." Miguel's face had turned a deep shade of red, a mixture of anger and embarrassment coloring his cheeks. Sofia, typically the more vocal of the two, had gone unnervingly quiet, a sure sign she was truly upset. They both knew how hard their parents had worked, how many weekends of overtime and extra shifts had gone into this single symbol of their family's progress. Emma took a deep breath, her nursing training kicking in, remained calm, assessed the situation. She knew Karen's reputation. The woman had a history of calling the local authorities over the most trivial matters. Kids playing too loudly, garbage cans placed at slightly incorrect angles, cars parked with a wheel touching the edge of the street's paint line. But this was different. This was an accusation of theft, a serious claim that could potentially devastate their family's reputation in the tight-knit community they had called home for over a decade. "We'll handle this," Emma muttered, more to herself than to her children. Her mind was already racing, gathering documentation, mentally preparing the narrative of their pool's purchase. Receipts from Home Depot, the delivery records, the installation paperwork. She would have everything ready. What Karen didn't know, what she couldn't possibly understand, was the sacrifice this pool represented. It wasn't just a recreational item. It was a symbol of the Rodriguez family's determination, their ability to create joy and comfort despite the challenges they faced. Little did Karen know that her unfounded accusation was about to unleash a response she never anticipated, a response that would involve not just the Rodriguez family, but the entire community of Maple Grove Estates. The next morning, the whispers had spread through Maple Grove Estates like wildfire. Karen Thompson hadn't just made a phone call, she had launched a full-scale neighborhood crusade. Standing on her perfectly manicured lawn, she cornered neighbors during their morning walks, her voice carrying with the precision of a town crier intent on spreading scandal. "Those Rodriguez kids didn't come by that pool, honestly," she declared to anyone who would listen. Her meticulously highlighted hair caught the morning sunlight, a stark contrast to the darkness of her insinuations. Someone needs to get to the bottom of this. Inside the Rodriguez household, the atmosphere was a mixture of anger and anxiety. Carlos had come home from his construction job, his large frame tense with barely contained frustration. "We have all the paperwork," he reassured Emma, spreading the receipts across the kitchen table like a shield of documentation. Every single receipt, every payment record. Miguel and Sofia sat quietly, their usual summer exuberance replaced by a heavy silence. The pool, their dream of cool relief from the summer heat, now felt like a source of tension rather than joy. Sofia's phone buzzed repeatedly, with messages from classmates, some curious, some sympathetic. Miguel's baseball cap was pulled low over his eyes, a defensive posture that spoke volumes about his embarrassment and anger. The local community Facebook group became Karen's primary battlefield. Her post claimed the Rodriguez children had suspiciously acquired an expensive above-ground pool, suggesting everything from theft to more sinister possibilities. Comments began to pile up, some supportive of Karen's accusations, others questioning her motives. Emma knew they couldn't just sit back and wait. A nurse's training had taught her the importance of clear communication and documentation. She began gathering every piece of evidence: bank statements, the original pool purchase agreement, delivery receipts, installation contracts. Each document was a piece of armor against Karen's baseless accusations. By midday, the tension had reached a boiling point. A patrol car slowly rolled down Maple Grove Estates' tree-lined street, its presence both a comfort and a source of additional stress for the Rodriguez family. Neighbors peered out from behind curtains, some with concern, others with the barely concealed excitement of those witnessing neighborhood drama. Carlos made a crucial decision. "We're not going to let her destroy our family's reputation," he told Emma, his voice firm with determination. "We'll fight this, not with anger, but with the truth. Sophia looked up, a spark of her usual spirit returning. "We have nothing to hide," she said quietly, her voice a mixture of hurt and defiance. Miguel nodded, adding, "We worked hard for this pool. Mom and Dad have been saving for years." As the afternoon sun climbed higher, the Rodriguez family prepared for what they knew was coming. Karen's accusations had set something in motion, a confrontation that would either break their spirit or prove their integrity beyond any doubt. Little did they know, the next few hours would change everything. The sharp knock on the Rodriguez family's front door came precisely at 4:37 p.m. Two police officers stood on the porch, their expressions a careful blend of professional courtesy and serious intent. Officer Martinez, a local law enforcement veteran with 15 years of experience, took the lead. "Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez," he asked, his clipboard held professionally in hand. Carlos nodded, stepping slightly forward to protect his family, while simultaneously showing he had nothing to hide. Emma's nursing training kicked in, remain calm, be factual, present the evidence. She had meticulously organized every document related to the pool's purchase, arranging them in a clear chronological order. The manila folders sat on the side table, a testament to their preparation. Officer Martinez and his partner, Officer Reynolds, listened carefully as Carlos and Emma recounted the months of saving, the careful budgeting, and the deliberate process of selecting and purchasing the pool. Miguel and Sofia stood nearby, their teenage self-consciousness battling with a growing sense of indignation at the false accusations. "We have all the documentation," Emma explained, her voice steady. She handed over the folder, which contained not just receipts, but a complete paper trail. The Home Depot purchase order, delivery confirmation, installation contract, and even the credit card statement showing the payments. Officer Martinez began methodically reviewing the documents, his experienced eyes scanning each page. The silence was palpable, broken only by the occasional rustle of paper and the distant sound of neighborhood kids playing. What Karen hadn't anticipated was the thoroughness of the Rodriguez family's documentation. Each receipt was crisp and clear, each payment record immaculate. It was evident that this was a family that took financial responsibility seriously, a family that had worked hard for every single thing they owned. "We saved for 2 years," Carlos explained, his accent slightly more pronounced with emotion. "Every extra shift, every overtime hour. This pool was a family goal. Something to give our children a little joy during the summer." Officer Reynolds, who had been quietly listening, exchanged a look with her partner. The contrast between the Rodriguez family's composed explanation and Karen's inflammatory accusations was becoming crystal clear. Outside, the neighborhood had transformed into an impromptu audience. Neighbors peered from windows and front porches, their earlier whispers now replaced by a growing sense that something wasn't adding up, and it wasn't the Rodriguez family's story. Sofia, typically more reserved, found her voice. "We would never steal anything," she said quietly but firmly. "Our parents taught us better than that." Miguel nodded in agreement, his earlier embarrassment replaced by a quiet pride in his family's integrity. Officer Martinez completed his review of the documents, his professional demeanor giving nothing away. The Rodriguez family waited, their collective breath held in a moment of suspended anticipation. The next words would change everything. The moment of truth arrived with a precision that felt almost theatrical. Officer Martinez cleared his throat, a sound cutting through the tension like a knife. "Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez," he began, his tone professional yet tinged with something that might have been respect. "Your documentation is not just complete, it's impeccable." Before the family could fully process his words, another car pulled up. Karen Thompson emerged, her designer sunglasses perched dramatically on her nose, a look of self-righteous anticipation etched across her face. She marched up the driveway, her heels clicking a staccato rhythm of certainty. "I demand to know what's happening," Karen announced, her voice carrying the weight of someone who believed she was about to be vindicated. What happened next would become neighborhood legend. Officer Martinez turned to Karen, his expression a masterclass in controlled professional disapproval. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "we thoroughly investigated the claims you've made about the Rodriguez family's pool. Not only are those claims completely unfounded, but they also constitute a form of harassment." The color drained from Karen's face. Her carefully constructed narrative of neighborhood vigilance was crumbling in real time. The officer continued, his words measured and precise. "The Rodriguez family has provided comprehensive documentation proving the legal purchase of their pool. They demonstrated not just ownership, but a remarkable commitment to financial responsibility. Your repeated accusations have caused unnecessary stress to this family and potentially damaged their reputation." Miguel and Sofia exchanged a look of vindication. Their parents, who had worked countless extra shifts, who had saved every spare dollar, were being publicly validated. Carlos stepped forward, not in anger, but with a dignity that spoke volumes. "We've worked hard for everything we have," he said quietly. "Every single thing." Officer Reynolds pulled out a notebook. "We'll be filing a report about the nature of these accusations. Repeated false claims of theft can be considered harassment, and continued behavior of this nature could lead to more serious consequences. The neighborhood had gathered, an impromptu audience witnessing a moment of unexpected justice. Whispers rippled through the crowd, the earlier speculation giving way to a growing sense of shame on Karen's behalf. Karen's perfectly maintained composure began to crack. The sunglasses came off, revealing eyes wide with the sudden realization of her misstep. Her narrative, her carefully constructed story of neighborhood protection, was falling apart piece by piece. "I was just trying to," she began, but Officer Martinez cut her off. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "the responsible thing would have been to speak directly with the family if you had genuine concerns. What you've done is create unnecessary trauma and stress." As the officers prepared to leave, Sophia caught her mother's eye. Emma's look was not one of triumph, but of quiet dignity, a reminder that truth always finds its way to the surface. The pool, their dream, their hard-earned symbol of family achievement, glimmered in the background, a silent witness to the day's events. What had begun as an accusation had transformed into a powerful statement about integrity, hard work, and the danger of unfounded assumptions. The days following the confrontation brought an unexpected wave of change to Maple Grove Estates. What had begun as a shameful episode of neighborhood harassment slowly transformed into a powerful moment of community reflection. Neighbors who had previously whispered behind closed curtains now approached the Rodriguez family with genuine apologies. Martha Green, an elderly widow who lived 2 doors down, was the first to break the ice. She arrived with a homemade apple pie, her weathered hands trembling slightly as she extended the peace offering. "I'm ashamed," Martha admitted, her voice cracking. "We should have known better. We should have asked, should have supported you." Carlos and Emma accepted the gesture with grace, understanding that healing takes time. Miguel and Sofia, who had initially felt humiliated by the entire ordeal, began to see a different side of their community, a side capable of growth and genuine remorse. The local community Facebook group, which had been Karen's initial platform for spreading accusations, now became a space of unexpected solidarity. Post after post emerged from neighbors expressing support for the Rodriguez family. Screenshots of the police report circulated, not as gossip, but as a testament to family's integrity. Karen Thompson, meanwhile, had become conspicuously absent. The neighbors who once hung on her every word now viewed her with a mixture of embarrassment and disappointment. Her attempts to spin the narrative fell flat, met with cold silence and pointed questions about the damage she had caused. The pool, that symbol of summer joy and family sacrifice, became something more than just a backyard attraction. It transformed into a reminder of resilience and a family's ability to rise above malicious accusations with dignity and truth. Emma found herself fielding messages from other parents in the neighborhood. Some sought advice about standing up to baseless accusations, while others simply wanted to express their support. Her nursing background, combined with this recent experience, had inadvertently positioned her as an unexpected community leader. Carlos used the experience as a teaching moment for Miguel and Sofia. "Success isn't just about what you have," he told them during a family dinner. "It's about how you handle challenges. It's about maintaining your integrity even when others try to tear you down." The twins absorbed the lesson. Sofia began volunteering at the local community center, while Miguel started a study group to help struggling students in their neighborhood. Their parents' experience had transformed their understanding of community and personal strength. As summer progressed, the Rodriguez family's pool became a gathering place. Neighborhood kids who had once been part of the Whisper Network now splashed and played under the watchful eyes of Carlos and Emma. What Karen had intended as a weapon of destruction had instead become a catalyst for community healing. The final irony was not lost on anyone. Karen's attempt to divide the neighborhood had ultimately brought it closer together. Maple Grove Estates had been forced to look at itself, to confront its own tendency to judge and gossip, and to choose a path of understanding and support. One evening, as the sun set and the pool's lights cast a soft glow across the backyard, Emma looked to her family. They had weathered the storm, not just survived, but emerged stronger. The pool was more than just a summer luxury now. It was a symbol of their family's unbreakable spirit. 1 year later, the Rodriguez family gathered around their pool, now a cherished centerpiece of not just their backyard, but the entire neighborhood's sense of community. The summer evening was alive with laughter, the splash of water, and the kind of genuine connection that can only come from shared understanding. Miguel, now preparing for his final year of high school, had become a local mentor for younger kids in the neighborhood. His experience had transformed him from a reserved teenager to a confident young man who understood the power of standing up for oneself with grace and dignity. Sofia had started a small community program teaching swimming to local children, using the very pool that had once been the center of such controversy. Her initiative had brought together kids from different backgrounds, creating a bridge of understanding that extended far beyond the water's edge. Carlos and Emma watched their children, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The pool was no longer just a summer luxury, it had become a symbol of resilience, community, and the power of truth. To everyone's surprise, change had come to Karen Thompson as well. After months of social isolation and reflection, she had begun to volunteer at the local community center. Her first day coincided with one of Sophia's swimming classes, a moment of unexpected humility that marked the beginning of her own journey of redemption. The neighborhood had transformed. Maple Grove Estates was no longer a place of whispers and suspicion, but a community that understood the importance of supporting one another. Block parties became more frequent, neighbors checked in on each other, and the toxic culture of assumption began to dissolve. During one particularly warm evening, Martha Green, the elderly widow who had been first to apologize, pulled Emma aside. "You know," she said, her eyes twinkling with wisdom, "sometimes it takes a storm to clear the air. What happened with Karen was that storm for our neighborhood." Emma smiled, understanding the deeper truth of those words. The pool that had once been a source of conflict was now a symbol of healing, a place where children laughed, families connected, and a community learned the true meaning of understanding. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over Maple Grove Estates, the Rodriguez family knew they had done more than just defend themselves. They had shown that integrity, patience, and love could overcome even the most malicious of accusations. The pool sparkled, a testament to their journey, a shimmering reminder that truth always finds its way to the surface and that family, community, and hope are more powerful than any attempt to divide or demean. In the end, what began as an accusation had become a celebration, a family of community, and of the unbreakable spirit that resides in those who choose to stand tall in the face of adversity.